Good morning, students. Today, in lecture number 19, we are just going to conclude the Sir Philip Sidney's classicism. In the previous lectures, we have discussed in detail about the classicism of Sir Philip Sidney, and through his classicism he expect that the poetry of England at his time to make like the poetries of ancient Greek, Roman and Italy. Being a well-known philosopher, writer and Englishman and also a Renaissance writer, Sir Philip Sidney have put certain norms of the classicism. He is well known, critical, philosophical and knowledgeable book Apology for Poetry or Defense of Poesy is a well known book of the classicism. Through this book, Apology for Poetry, Francis Bacon highly recommends the classical norms for the Renaissance Italian writers, Renaissance English writers. According to Sir Philip Sidney, the classicism is divided into two parts. Just today in lecture number 19 and tomorrow in lecture number 20, we just conclude the idea of Sir Philip Sidney, his classicism, what he has mentioned, puts forth the idea through Apology for Poetry that we are going to discuss. Because he has shared his classicism in two aspects. One is respect for rules, means what the ancient Greek writers has put, framed and wrote the particular rules for the ideal writing or classical writing, that Sir Philip Sidney say just respect them, what they have framed, what they have written, what they have told for each and everyone. And in the second point, he expresses that simply follow the pattern of writing, advocacy for classical meters, means what they have told about the rules of classical writing or whatever the meters, classical pattern they have framed, we have to simply follow it. So, in short, I will just in brief just go through the points that we have just discussed. So, tomorrow and today we will just revise, make a revision of the unit second by Sidney. So, at the very outset we have discussed the purpose of Apology for Poetry. Apology for Poetry is written by Sir Philip Sidney as an answer, as an reply, as an we can say dismiss, as to dismiss the objections raised by the writer like Stephen Gosson in his book School of Abuse against the pattern writing or the writers, means poets follow. So, Apology for Poetry is in short a defense of poesy, means bachao, is an answer to the Gosson school of abuse, is an reply against the charges. So, Apology for Poetry is a seminal book, important book, significant landmark in the process of classicism. So, Apology for Poetry highly discusses the classical norms that Sir Philip Sidney expresses to us or through the book. Through this book, Apology for Poetry, Sir Philip Sidney is haunted to raise, to uplift the standard of poetry at his time, because the poetry at his time, according to Sir Philip Sidney, is or has no standard, no classical pattern, and they just are mixing clowns and kings altogether. So, the poetry he expects, wants of the time or of his time, like the poetries of great ancient Greek, Roman and Italians. One thing. So, at the very outset he wanted to make the poetry of England, means he wanted poetry of England should be like ancient Greek, Rome and Italy, because these writers, means the writers of these ancient Greek, Roman and Italy have put one standard pattern for the upcoming writers. They have to simply follow it, because according to Sir Philip Sidney, in Greek, poets revered as makers. In Greek, poets are considered as makers, means like the creators, or makers like the heavenly one, means like the gods. They are compared with the God, means the heavenly makers, because how God creates the mankind, animal, nature, each and everything, the same way the pattern of classical writing is very well designed, made by the Greek writers. So, he simply says that the poets of Great England has to simply follow the pattern the ancient Greek Roman writers have put or designed or planned for the ideal classical writing. And he further says that why we have to follow that, because the ancient Greek writers are considered as the heavenly makers. Makers means they are compared with the God, Almighty God, and so they have the power. And again he says the poets of Rome, means the Roman writers also he expects that the English or writers of England or English poets has to follow the Roman, means the Roman poets, because like the Greek are the makers or heavenly makers, while the Roman poets revered as prophets, because they are revered means worshipped as prophets. Prophets means the God, that he can see the future. Prophets are gifted with foreknowledge of things, or gifted with foreknowledge of things, means they have the knowledge of the future, they can see what we can't. So, they are gifted with, one is the maker, one is the prophet, one is the heavenly makers, one is the gifted with foreknowledge of things. So, Sir Philip Sidney have lot of deep appreciation, admiration, praise, stuti to the great Italian writers like Dante, Petrarch and Boccaccio. So, he shows great faith, deep admiration and appreciation to the great Italian writers like Dante, Petrarch and Boccaccio. Means according to Sir Philip Sidney, this is the Dante, this is the Petrarch, this is the Boccaccio. These are also the well-known Italian writers. So here we can simply say that he followed the Greek writers like Plato, Aristotle, Horace, Longinus. He also follows the Roman writers, the Greek Roman writers, because they are gifted with foreknowledge of things. He also follow the show, and he also shows the great faith, the deep admiration, appreciation, praise towards the great Italian writers like Dante, who has written a well-known text like Divine Comedy. Petrarch, because when we follow the sonnet pattern, in that sonnet, the Petrarch sonnet means Petrarch has put the ideal pattern for the sonnet writing. So, the sonnet also entitled as name as Petrarch sonnet. And even Boccaccio is also a well-known writer. So, Greek, Roman and Italian writers in general and poets in particular are the ideals, are the prophets, are the worthy models to follow the Renaissance English writers. Renaissance say English or England, or we can simply say the Elizabethan writers. After this, Sir Philip Sidney very well expect further that he, while following the pattern of writing, he simply follows and great writers like the Plato, because according to Sir Philip Sidney, Plato is a well-known philosopher, poet, writer whom all the poets follow and worship. And he further says that while following the function of poetry, he follows Plato, and he says that Plato, why he follows the function of poetry, that Plato has designed, because he simply say he follows the pattern, or we can say the function of poetry that Plato has designed or framed, because he simply say, because to Plato all philosophers, because to Plato all philosophers shows lot of reverence, shows lot of reverence, means respect due to knowledge. Reverence means respect due to knowledge, because reverence means they worship him, they appreciate him, they follow him, they show lot of reverence means respect towards Plato, because Plato has deep knowledge and he makes the pattern of the poetry after him. He also follows the Plato and Aristotle in the process of definition of poetry also, and according to him, means according to Aristotle, poetry is, because he also follows the Aristotle, and according to Aristotle, poetry is an art of पोएट्री इज एन आर्ट ऑफ इमिटेशन. मीन्स जे काही निसर्गात आहे त्या वेगवेगळ्या गोष्टी अनुकरण करायच्या आणि प्रेझेंट करायच्या. मीन्स पोएट्री इज एन इमिटेशन. Purposes to teach and delight, means he expect that one should learn from the poetry, and also it teaches a lot and also gives delight, means with to teach and delight. Means happiness is also the greatest characteristic of the poetry. It teaches a lot and also makes you happy, delight one. So, further Aristotle also says that in his views on tragedy, means tragedy means also the parent form of the poetry, because after poetry or tragedy, means tragedy and poetry have the similar pattern like the prose and novel has one. Prose and poetry comes into the sentence, paragraph and one pattern, while poetry and tragedy comes in one pattern because both are in poetical lines. So, both are the sister forms. So, according to him, when he talks about the tragedy, he says unity of action is an important thing for the tragedies, because after this poetry's definition of Aristotle, whom he calls its function is to teach and delight and also to imitate, he further designs his plan and expresses his views on tragedy. And he, means Aristotle, gives space or expresses his idea about the unity of action, and he says unity of action is an important, we can say important condition of a well knit plot. Well knit. The condition of a well knit plot means well structured, well designed, well presented form, according to Aristotle, is that it requires only the unity of action, because it is the significant aspect one beside the unity of time and place. Besides time and place, according to Sir Philip Sidney, are not so much important like the unity of action, and he has not beside time and place, or we can say unity of time and place are not emphasized or gave significance to in tragedy. So, unity of action is very important, because after that when he gives his expression, valuable opinion about the time, he simply says the time to be confined around a single revolution of sun. Time, he says, to be confined around a single revolution of the sun, means it should be just one cycle of the sun or not more than 24 hours. We can simply say or 24 hours. It means that according to Sir Philip Sidney, his more focus according to Aristotle is to the unity of action, which is a condition of a well knit plot. But time and place have no much more significance in the tragedy like the unity of action, because time, he says, it should be confined around a single revolution of sun or not more than 24 hours. About the place, he has not expressed his views. So, when he talks about the classical norms of the tragedy, he just give the example of the well known tragedy entitled Gorboduc. According to Aristotle, Gorboduc is a well known example of the tragedy. Gorboduc, written by Thomas Sackville and Thomas Norton, is an ideal example of the tragedy, and he says it is the exact model of all tragedies. Exact model of all tragedies without unity of time and place, because it is faulty with time and place, that is not strictly followed, but unity of action is the ideal important need of the ideal plot that he says, because according to him plot requires one set of events, means unit of action. Plot requires one set of events which arousing pity and fear, which arousing pity and fear, because that only have to expose the pity and fear in the minds of the audience, spectators, readers, with finally with unhappy ending. According to Aristotle, unhappy ending is the ideal ending of the tragedy, and the writers have to specifically mention and to focus on the unity of action, which shows, highlights, arouses the pity and fear with unhappy ending, that is the important one. But Sir Philip Sidney has lot of concern about the writers of his time, because they are mixing kings with the clowns. So, he says the tragedies or plays at his time have neither pity nor fear and nor any type of sportfulness, means nor any type of right pattern. The poets of his time, the writers or tragedy writers of his time specifically follow. So, he says the plays, poetries of his time have neither quality or nor any seriousness. So, the writers of his time, he specifically makes requests to the poets, writers of his time to simply follow the pattern of Gorboduc, the well known tragedy written by Thomas Sackville and Thomas Norton, because though it is faulty with unity of time and place, but it is the exact model of all tragedies, which simply arouses pity and fear, and it ends with unhappy ending. So here through this Sir Philip Sidney simply request to the Elizabethan English writers to follow the classical norms of the writers like ancient Greek, Roman and Italy, and he puts forth the ideal example of tragedies, that is Gorboduc, and one has, while writing the tragedy, one has to simply follow the pattern of Gorboduc that he mentions with or through this apology for poetry. In the next lecture, lecture number 20, we will again conclude the same ideas. Thank you very much. With this, I stop here.